Coming from Yahoo Finance, HSBC starts SpaceX at hold, sees execution risks tempering long-term AI ambitions. Holy hell, boys and girls, the financial industry is actually starting to look at SpaceX as if it's a real company. It's a real company that really has to have things like, a good profit and good revenue and good growth and scaling going into the future. Just because Elon Musk is having some ketamine fantasy, that is not something that you should necessarily throw a lot of money at. And so what I think is interesting about this is simply how quickly the financial institutions are changing their tunes. And I think they're doing it because they realize the reputational risk that they have been taking over the past little while. So I've been talking about the whole SpaceX IPO for a little while now. And one of the idiotic things with the SpaceX IPO is just what the valuations have been. Right? You look at SpaceX, it's fine. But think about this. SpaceX, space launch capability for SpaceX, literally the revenue from that is horseshoes and hand grenades within the revenue of OnlyFans. OnlyFans and space launch has about the same level of revenue. All right, you have Starlink that actually has profitability, but that is an ISP service. You take a look at SpaceX and basically you see a good company that has good technology products that simply has no place being valued at $2 trillion. But right now, Elon Musk comes out, he puts the share price at $135 for the IPO. That gets them a listing, an IPO price of $1.77 trillion valuation. And then from there, the value goes up. At one point, it got up to $225 a share, $2.9 trillion valuation. And the interesting thing is so many of the financial institutions were saying the sky is the limit, right? It's $225 a share. There was literally a financial analyst saying it's gonna go to 900 a share. So if $225 is about $3 trillion, that means 900 would be like $12 trillion valuation for SpaceX, which again, I mean, you can like Starlink. Starlink's good. You never heard me snark about Starlink, but it's not $2 trillion. And I think one of the big things for these financial institutions is they're realizing that by sucking up, by kissing ass to Elon Musk to such an idiotic, sycophantic degree that basically they are going to be putting their reputation on the line for the next couple of generations. One of the big problems we have right now with the young people is that young people simply do not trust people in positions of authority at all. And when you see this disaster, it's hard to fault them for that fact. And so what we're seeing with HSBC now is they are now valuing SpaceX at $115 a share. So they IPO'd at $135 a share about a month ago. They're now valuing it at $115 a share. It closed at about $115 a share on Friday. While I'm recording this, it's after hours. It's down to about $113 a share. So it's interesting to see that HSBC seems to be going down the route of vague sanity. Though I would argue with this, the problem like these financial institutions have is the whole question of can you be honest, right? If they say it's worth $900 a share, right? That is so astronomically idiotic that puts their reputation at risk with consumers. The problem, though, is if they put the value of SpaceX at where it should be, what, $50 a share probably? Let's be honest. Should be a lot lower. Then they're going to risk the ire of Musk and his acolytes. And so one of the interesting things, it's like that's what's so fucked up. And this is where we have to be concerned about the modern world, the modern macroeconomic environment that's going on, is that even when these financial institutions start rationalizing the information that they're giving to the public, it is still way too damn optimistic. That is the world that we're in. So anyways, we go over, we take a look at this. SpaceX's strong position in commercial space launches and satellite connectivity provides a solid foundation for long-term growth, but ambitious plans in AI and full vertical integration face significant technological and execution hurdles, HSBC said as it initiated coverage with a hold rating and $115 price target broadly in line with the stock's current trading price. And that's one of the things to be thinking about, right? One of the ideas is that SpaceX is going to be valuable because of AI. even though they're an also ran in the AI space. But Eli, what about the terafabs? And this is going to be one of the interesting things that that we look at with what happens with the terafabs. And so the terafabs is basically where Elon Musk wants to create his own foundry for all these AI chips he says all of his companies are going to need. One of the problems, though, for Elon Musk is so much of his success has been in areas where nobody else has really wanted to compete worth a damn. As I've talked about this before with electric vehicles, I own a Model Y. I own a Model Y. I also own a plug-in Ford Escape. I can tell you I always drive my plug-in Ford Escape. I prefer the fit, the finish, the comfort level, so many other things with my Ford Escape. I can drive either one. I drive the Ford Escape. Here's the deal. I would be really happy to go out there and buy another Ford electric vehicle. But the funny part of the modern world, 2026, is that God knows what Ford is doing with their electrification plans. Right? I actually drove the Mach-E. We thought about buying a Mach-E. Didn't do it for a couple of reasons. But one of the interesting things with with Ford is they should be a competitor to Tesla. They're just not doing it. Almost none of the American companies are actually competing in electric vehicles to any real degree, right? And so with Tesla, right? Tesla is a front runner in a field where there's basically no competition, right? If we look at a rocket launch capacity, right? When Elon Musk came in, do rocket launch capacity, economic rocket launch capacity, the fact of the matter is, nobody is really competing with them. You have Rocket Labs and some of these new like startup-y type ventures, but they're launching smaller payloads, any massive payloads, things to get to the International Space Station or any of that kind of stuff. He just really has no competition, whatever, right? The space has remained open to a curious degree, right? You look at Blue Origin, you have Jeff Bezos, he is worth gazillions of dollars. It seems like, he ran a technology company. Seems like he should be able to push that a lot faster. But even Blue Origin, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is still moving forward, but wow, it's going forward slowly. So one of the interesting things is you look at something like Terafab, and even if he gets Terafab up and running, there's going to be a tremendous amount of competition in that space. You have TSMC, you have Intel, you have Samsung, you have other foundries out there. So one of the interesting things to be thinking about with this is even if he can get it up and running, he is going to be building that particular product into a very competitive market. And in a very competitive market, what are his chances for success there? It's a real question, right? The brokerage said SpaceX's integrated model combining launch services, Starlink connectivity, and AI could create a powerful business flywheel over time, but investors are already pricing in technologies that remain unproven. Unproven. Think about that. So the investors have already purchased this stock based off of if the technology had already been deployed. Right? They're buying the stock as if AI data centers are already in space. They're buying the stock as if the terafab is already up and running and that people are actually buying the silicon, the wafers coming out of that terafab. This is one of the big problems we have right now with SpaceX is even if the valuation at some point in the future makes sense, basically all of these people have essentially purchased the price at the value of what it should be in like 2030 or 2031 or 2032. They're buying it as if this stuff not only is proven, that this stuff is actually deployed. And that's one of the problems we get to in the stock market sometimes is there's this irrational exuberance, right? Buying SpaceX based off of what it could be, not off of what it is. But the thing is, think about this for investors. You buy low, sell high. If you buy based off of the value of what this thing should be, 4 or 5 years from now, that means you're going to have to wait 4 or 5 years, theoretically, before you actually start getting the returns, which again becomes a bit of a nasty investment right there. Let's see here, including orbital data centers, AI compute infrastructure in space, and semiconductor manufacturing through its Terafab project. HSBC argued that while SpaceX dominates commercial launch services and Starlink has established a leading position in satellite internet, its AI ambitions face much stiffer competition. Yes. Yes. Again, in rocket launch, they are number one. In electric cars, in the United States, let's be clear, in the United States, they're number one. In AI, they exist. I can say with complete confidence that Grok exists, right? That's a bit more of a competitive space than he's used to being in. The bank believes XAI trails leading AI developers in enterprise adoption, yep, and compute scale, yep, requiring substantial capital spending to compete with hyperscalers. It also questioned whether orbital data centers would become economically viable within the next decade, and said Starlink's addressable market is likely much smaller than the company's own estimates, right? Remember, Starlink is talking about like some kind of $28 trillion addressable market. HSBC is like, maybe it's not that big. And the other interesting thing to be thinking about this, again, with the orbital data centers, is basically they're just pushing back a little bit. They're not saying that orbital data centers might not be profitable, but they are questioning whether or not they'll be profitable within the next decade. And think about that for the investor point of view. The brokerage forecasts revenue to more than double to 38.2 billion in 2026 from 18.7 in 2025, driven primarily by AI-related businesses and expanding Starlink operations. However, it expects the company to remain loss-making through 2027 on a GAAP basis as heavy investment weighs on earnings. HSBC estimates free cash flow will not turn positive until 2030 after roughly 106 billion of cumulative cash usage. So they have to burn another 100 and some odd billion dollars, and maybe in 4 years they'll get into the black. Yay! That's the kind of investment that makes me really excited. Wow, I can pay a premium for this stock now based off of what they're going to be doing in 5 or 6 years, and they're going to get into the black 4 years from now. Man, that makes me excited to buy that particular stock. Let's see here. HSBC, SpaceX valued SpaceX using a sum of the parts methodology and applied a 2x innovation premium, arguing that the market has historically assigned companies led by Elon Musk a valuation well above conventional fundamentals. And so again, the whole thing here, they're applying a 2x innovation premium. So they get the value of the company together. So like, okay, we think this company is worth about, what would that be? About $57 a share? We think this company would be worth about $57, $56 a share when we look at all of the components that this company has. And because it's owned by Elon Musk, we're then going to double it, and that's what the value of the company is going to be. Right? Think about that. I mean, like, really think about that for a second. So if they're giving a 2x innovation premium, so basically they are doubling their estimated value for the stock simply because it's an Elon Musk company. Because everybody knows Elon Musk doesn't fail. You know, except for the Hyperloop, except for the Cybertruck, except for the Roadster, except for where are the semi trucks again? What is the Boring Company doing exactly in Las Vegas? Right. The important thing to understand is that that Elon Musk always succeeds. Right. Shorting Elon Musk is a really bad idea. You know, unless you shorted Tesla or SpaceX over the past year, you're making a lot of money. Do remember, Tesla right now is down by about 30%. That's one of the things that gets pushed under the rug. Nobody talks about the folks making lots and lots and lots of money off of shorting Tesla. The mythology is anybody who shorts a Tesla, that never works out well, except for the times it works out exceedingly well for the people who know how to do it properly. And so what becomes very interesting here is they are then saying this is a sub $60 stock that they seem to be doubling the valuation of simply because of the Elon Musk premium. What happens when people change their minds about the Elon Musk premium? That seems really ugly. And my big concern with SpaceX too is that it's just so resource intensive. Everything from the starships, again, rockets and data centers and all that kind of stuff. That is incredibly resource intensive. And so there's a real question there of at what stock value does SpaceX no longer become viable? because again, they've got to keep investing so much money into what they're doing. Even now, right? They're talking about that with the Falcon 9 rockets. Apparently, they're stopping manufacturing of certain components of the Falcon 9 rockets. They're moving basically everything over to Starship. So Starship hasn't been proven. They did have apparently what was called a good launch. They're feeling good about it, but Starship is not a proven technology yet. But they're already stopping the Falcon 9 line of rockets, and so they're putting all this investment into Starship. What happens to the value of the stock? Goes in the toilet. What happens to the employees? Right, all these employees that we're millionaires. Like nothing makes an employee more motivated than realizing that they're going to be a multi-millionaire pretty soon. Nothing is more demoralizing as people who thought that they were going to be multimillionaires no longer knowing how they're going to pay the mortgage. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.